Nerdrotic.com.
The Rings of Power actors continue to attack Tolkien fans as racist. Must be a day that ends in Y. Multiple The Rings of Power actors, or adult pretenders, continue to attack fans of the creator J.R.R. Tolkien and his works as racist, as their own show was exposed to audiences as being a black hole of creativity from John F. Trent. You seriously have to wonder why the access media, the mainstream media, and most importantly, Amazon and their adult pretenders want to continue with this obviously losing narrative. It's not like everyone who was going to see this show has already seen this show. It's not like every time they drop a promotional item or trailer on YouTube, it gets ratioed into oblivion. It's not like every time somebody involved with this show opens up their pie hole, there's another 100 YouTube videos like this one that are going to destroy this narrative. And while they continue talking about the fans and the fans continue talking about them, what no one is talking about is the creative abyss that is this show. We might want to consider the possibility it might have something to do with the Nielsen ratings that just came out. I'm sure it's purely coincidence that it completely fell out of the top 10, and it's officially a massive, giant, global billion-dollar flop, where in the week following the big season finale, it completely fell out of the top 10. And remember, Amazon Prime Studios head Jennifer Salke said that Rings of Power was not only a hit, it was elevating the other shows, and this was pointed out to me, correctly so, on Twitter. It doesn't seem to have done that. It also seems that this show was not only beaten down by its fandom, it was beaten down by its competition, House of the Dragon. But please, by all means, do go on, adult pretenders from Amazon. Enjoy your very brief time in the sun, because by the time season 2 rolls around, no one's going to remember you. But before we get started, I wanted to give another thank you to the over 600,000 of you out there in the fellowship who have joined us on this crazy ride, and to the 43% who haven't subscribed yet. Welcome. Let's enjoy some more Rings of Power Schadenfreude. Ismael Cruz Cordova, who played Don Lemonless, Sophia Nomvetti, who played Princess Disa, and Cynthia Ade Robinson, who played Queen Regent Muriel, spoke with Variety's Nick Vivarelli, where they were asked about supposed racist backlash to the casting. I'm glad you put supposed there. Cruz responded by saying the fact that the attention was shifted towards that shows you the power of shows like this. You mean it's a platform for influence? The fact that it hit the nerve and that our being it in it created such a response just brings attention to the greatness of fantasy, the greatness of Lord of the Rings, and why it's actually good that we are here. Well, it would be if you were actually in Lord of the Rings, which you're not. Did it become a bit too much? Absolutely. It's taken airtime from the depth of who we are as artistes, but it just shows you where we are in the world and how much work we still have to do. I'm just grateful it's us who are able to recalibrate, break form, reshape, and make history, he added. Oh my God, the ego on these people. Bruv, you're not Malcolm X. You're not Martin Luther King. You're just another adult pretender playing another elf, and no, you're not even close to being the first elf of color. Shall we continue and hear how these three very mid-level adult pretenders in a horrible TV show are helping reshape history? Let's do it. Ade Robinson then shared her thoughts, and I'm sure these will be very specific. In order not to have such an impact, the pendulum has to swing. Oh, it's swinging all right. We are right in the middle of that process. Yes, we are. We just want to normalize. Do you now? Do you really want to normalize? Because normalizing would be not bringing up diversity. And I mean at all, not just every other press conference and every other interview which you have. The only thing you've truly attempted to normalize is attack the fans. We'll get back to normalization in just a moment. We just want to normalize. We do have to discuss it because we are now in a space in society where we need to, now and again, acknowledge exactly what is happening. What's happening? Be specific. Oh, wait, you can't be. And this is why I call them adult pretenders, because they're always pretending. They are just repeating what has been fed to them by the Amazon marketing department. The level of distraction or aggression that was put towards us. Where? Show me where. I don't want anyone attacking any individual actors or actresses. I don't care that they took a job, and quite frankly, if they were good at it, we wouldn't be talking about it, but we also have to blame the writers who absolutely sucked. It's been a painful journey to get here. Oh, did your paycheck Cash, just wondering, how painful was it to pretend in this billion-dollar show? But it has elevated us. Oh, it's elevated your bank account. It has put us in a position where there will be a plaque one day when the pendulum has swung to where it needs to be. Well, that might be in the next couple of years when that plaque is Rings of Power, biggest flop in history. If I were you and I wanted to do something like preserve my career, I'd find a way to get out of my contract and run away from this disaster as fast as I could. We will all have badges upon the people who fought the great fight in order to get to a point to where this isn't such an eruption based solely on that. When a casting announcement comes, I couldn't agree with you more. Unfortunately, for your narrative and for Amazon, the culprit in this situation, the actual perpetrator, was Amazon. Hate to break this to you, sweetheart, but when the casting announcements came, nobody knew who you were playing, so we really couldn't get upset about anything, and quite frankly, we wouldn't have been if this had been a good story and not a total vandalization of our beloved professor's work. The hubris of these adult pretenders. She came this close to saying, "We're saving lives with our acting." Ade Robinson then asserted, "While it's been a challenge, it's been a phenomenal moment to be a part of. Doors are open and accessibility is available for absolutely everyone to feel safe within a franchise and a story of this scale, one you know nothing about. It's been really important and empowering. Tears have been shed. Blood has been spilled, metaphorically, but we are here." The only tears that were being shed is from people yawning because they were so tired, and the only blood would be if they hit their head on something when they fell asleep watching your show. Tolkien fought and survived World War I, so some adult pretender can act like they just fought in World War I. We almost got all our keywords there. Accessibility, empowerment, feeling safe within a franchise. What the hell does that even mean? Sophia Nomvetti, who plays Princess Disa, then stated, "To answer your question, there has still been a ton of controversy, and it has nothing to do with your current narrative and everything to do with people actually having seen the show and knowing it's abysmal. But there has been a shift." Oh, there most certainly has. You know what there has been? It feels like there's been a sit down. Oh, I'm sure there's been a sit down between Jeff Bezos and the producers of the show. She elaborates with a bit of self-delusion, or maybe a lot. "It feels like we had to prove ourselves almost." No, actually, you did with your acting and the story, which is beyond your control, and you still abysmally failed. We had to defend ourselves, but it's undeniable that these people are in the position that they are in, deserve to be there, and should be there. There's nobody else that could have played the role except for 1,000 other people. I genuinely feel that this has been shut down. I'm sure you feel that way, but it might have something to do with the absolute apathy following the show. She added, "I've even had apologies, which I love, even if it was just one person acknowledging that the frame of mind was wrong." John chimes in here. "First off, if there was any racist backlash, Variety did not provide any evidence of it, and neither have any of the actors. The official Rings of Power Twitter account posted a message condemning racism the cast was allegedly receiving, but again did not provide any evidence of it actually occurring because it was insignificant. Sure, there's always trolling, and there always will be. Welcome to life." I'm sure you've noticed that the adult pretenders from the Rings of Power tend to repeat themselves. They're saying this same shit over and over again because it's being fed to them by the marketing department and the producers from Amazon. I also want you to notice how little they bring up the fandom, if at all. They don't say things like, "You know what? Most of the fandom are good people. It's just a few bad apples." You just don't hear that because they don't care. Most of the fandom are good people, and I'm sure there's a fair amount of good people working on this show. Unfortunately, they're not the ones in power. Back to normalization. You know what that is? Making a show and presenting it. That's it. No identity politics, no talk of BIPOC or POC. The only thing you should be focusing on is POT, people of talent, producing a good story, which will shut any criticism down. But this is all Amazon has. If they aren't attacking the fans, nobody's talking about this show anymore. It has fallen down the memory hole, and that is a good thing. And because the universe tends to unfold as it should, it was a good thing that House of the Dragon came out right along with this show, so we could compare two fantasy series. One was good, one was awful. Despite what Screen Rant says, House of the Dragon finale Nielsen ratings falls short of Rings of Power. House of the Dragon fell short of the Rings of Power streaming numbers during the week of its finale with a major asterisk. In other words, it didn't. I do read stupid articles for a living, and this is pretty stupid, but it's also a great example of how the shill access media will front for a giant billion-dollar corporation and lie to you. This article is from Jerome Cassio, who admittedly probably makes about a penny a word, and he's overpaid. Nielsen Streaming per The Wrap reports that the Game of Thrones spinoff fell short of the Lord of the Rings series, which it isn't, it's just the Rings of Power, in terms of streaming minutes during its finale window, according to Nielsen's top 10 chart for October 17th through 23rd. House of the Dragon came in at 1 billion streaming minutes, while the Rings of Power topped out at 1.1 billion during the week of its finale, October 10th through 16th. Nielsen's streaming data doesn't include House of the Dragon's linear TV viewers, from which it gets a significant portion of its audience. Also crucial is that the Prime Video series dropped episodes on Thursday, while the Game of Thrones prequel only had a few hours to rack up streaming minutes before the ranking for that week closed. In other words, Rings of Power totally beat House of the Dragon, except for all those viewers we're not counting. I'd like to take this moment to express a little gratitude. Thank you, Access Media, for sucking so much it gave me a job. I'll leave you with this. We did eventually get some legit numbers from Amazon. According to Forbes, Amazon is laying off 10,000 workers. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I'll see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com.
Cast it into the fire! Destroy it!